Okay, then there's graphic novels. Actually, the first one is a graphic memoir, Freddie and Me. This is for the Dewey's Books Challenge. It'll actually complete the challenge for me. She really loved this one. She said it reminded her a lot of her childhood, so it should be interesting. And it's all about Queen. I mean, how can you turn down Queen? And then there's Scott Pilgrim Volume 1. This was recommended to me by Chris of Stuff His Dreams Are Made On. I've already read it, and I just found it so random. It's very outside the things that I normally read, and I'm not saying that it's bad. Like, it was very readable and interesting, but I think it took me pretty much the whole book to adjust to how different it was. So I'm going to get the second volume and see if I enjoy that a little more. It was so random. Okay, then there's Ray in Reverse by Daniel Wallace. We've moved on to the Southern category. I got this because I've loved every other Wallace book that I've read, which will be 2. He only has 4 published, though. I've already read this one, and I talked about it in my Sunday Salon. It wasn't quite as good as the other 2, Watermelon King and Mr. Sebastian and the Negro Magician, but it was still really good. Wallace is a great storyteller. And then L.M.N.O.P. by Mark Doon. I've already read this one, once again. And I can't say that I liked it. First of all, someone really abused it. Like, there's pen ink throughout, and there's other things that are much grosser than pen ink that I'm not going to show you. Anyway, I think I'm going to talk about it in a review because it was a lot different than what I was expecting. So, then there's nonfiction, which is a nice big pile, as usual. A Guide to Elegance by Geneviève Darrieux. Once again, my French has deserted me. Anyway, I've already read and reviewed this one. I really loved it. And the pretty color, my favorite. Next up, In the Footsteps of Mr. Kurtz by Michela, wrong. This is about Congo under Mobutu. And last year I read King Leopold's Ghost, which was about Congo under Belgian rule, and it was really depressing but really important. So I thought it would be good to catch up on what happened in the Congo, and I'm sure it's going to be just as depressing. Poor Congo. But then there's You Can't Get There From Here by Gail Foreman. This is another travelogue. I've really kind of gotten obsessed with travelogues, and she and her husband go on a year-long around-the-world trip, but she only wanted to go to places that hadn't been touched by globalization yet. So, we'll see if she manages to succeed. The Future of Freedom by Fareed Zakaria. He's gained a lot of publicity for his latest book, A World Without America, or something like that, The Post-American World, because, you know, President Obama was seen carrying it and all that. I'm a little hesitant of reading books by columnists, just because I hate Thomas Friedman so much, but I thought I'd try out his earlier book just to see if I liked it, because it's about a topic that really interests me, which is basically democracy. The subtitle is Liberal Democracy at Home and Abroad, and the role of democracy in kind of the new world order. I'm going to stop going international relations geeky on you, I promise. Then there's Tree, A Life Story by David Suzuki and Wayne Grady. I'm really excited about this. It's for the Science Book Challenge. I love trees a lot, so it just sounds wonderful. It's all about one Douglas fir tree. And my final nonfiction is Alphabet Juice by Roy Blount Jr. And this is a book all about words. The subtitle is The Energies, Gifts, and Spirits of Letters, Words, and Combinations Thereof, Their Roots, Bones, Innards, Pips, Pips, and Secret Parts, Tinctures, Tonics, and Essences, with examples of their usage, foul and savory. So obviously the guy really enjoys our language, which is always exciting. English has much wider vocabulary than a lot of other languages, and it's one of the things I love most about it. Finally, we have 3 classics that I got for the Classics Challenge. Evelyn Waugh's Decline and Fall. I was going to start with, now of course I'm not going to be able to think of it, but the one that is much more popular and was just made into a movie, Brideshead Revisited. But with new authors, I kind of like to start at the beginning with their first published novels and then work forward, and this is his first one, so I'm excited about it. Then there's Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've never read anything by Elizabeth Gaskell, but I've seen several adaptations of her novels, including the awesome North and South. so I thought it was about time to read one of her books. I haven't seen the adaptation of Cranford, which is why I wanted to start with it. I thought I should have my introduction to her be a book that I didn't know anything about the plot or characters going in. And finally, a book on CD, Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. I've read 3 Bronte sisters books, Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, and then Anne Bronte's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, and based on those, Anne is definitely my favorite sister. So I'm curious about Agnes Grey and if it will live up to my expectations. Also, I was a nanny last year, so it should be interesting to see the plight of poor governesses back then. And that's all. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you share your library loot as well, and now I'm off to get reading. Bye, guys.